So I'm just going to talk for a couple minutes today about WIDA testing and different forms of testing you can ask for that might be most beneficial to your child. So when you first come home with your newly adopted child, it's a good idea to go ahead and go to their school and fill out the enrollment paperwork. You don't have to start your child right away. You can choose a date that you're going to start, but it's a good idea to go ahead and go up to the school and get all the paperwork filled out ahead of time, just to let them know that the child is coming and get kind of a bead on what services they might be offering and if you're going to have any potential problems. So they'll ask for all the typical enrollment documents: birth certificate, proof of residency, vaccination records. You can either fill out a vaccine exemption form if you don't have vaccination records, depending on what your stance is there and what you plan to do. You can always go with an exemption. State of Virginia has a religious exemption. Other states have varying other exemptions. So you can do that, or you can just present the records that you were given in your child's birth country. They don't have to be translated. You just have to provide them. So whatever documents you got from embassy, medicals, from the orphanage, those should suffice. So once you get the enrollment documentation done, you can ask about WIDA testing. And you can request that the school do the testing before your child even has their first day, so that you have information to go off of as to what placement might be the most appropriate. There's 5 different levels that your child can score into. 1 is entering English language, and 5 is proficient in English language. So level 1 gets the most service minutes per week, and level 5, you're proficient, so you've basically graduated the ESL program. You don't need any more supports. And levels 2, 3, and 4 have varying levels of support and accommodations available. So it's a really good idea to have this testing done before you decide on what classes your child's going to be in, because it gives everybody a good idea of what their English proficiency level is. So go ahead and get the ball rolling on that. It's like a 90-minute test. Usually you get the scores that same day. So it's a pretty easy thing to go ahead and have done before you even start putting your kid in classes. One thing that I found is that they like to administer this test on the computer, and that's not how school is typically done in Ukraine. I'm not sure about other countries. If your child is from another country and you don't really have a good way of asking them, how did you usually take tests because of the language barrier, or honestly, it's something we don't even think about because everything is online now. All of our kids take their SOL test on computers. So it's what's automatically done. But for kids that aren't used to it, you're trying to get a really accurate read on how proficient they are in a language, and you give them a test method that's not familiar to them, and you could get some interesting results like we did. So what you can do is ask for paper and pencil WIDA. The school might not have that available immediately. They might need to order it, but it only takes about 2 or 3 days for it to arrive, and then it's also scored locally, so you get results same day. So honestly, it's a really great option for kids that are not used to taking tests online, because you want to get the most accurate data for their starting point, like for their English proficiency baseline, because one, it drives the services. So the school might even tell you, well, it's okay if they score poorly doing this online test because they'll just get more services. Well, it's true. They will get more services, but over the course of the next couple of months, as they're in school and they get more comfortable taking tests on computers, what's going to happen when they retake the WIDA is they're going to score significantly better, regardless of whether or not their English has actually improved. So you don't want to create a false sense of progress simply from them getting acclimated to taking tests online. So for sure, you probably want to request a paper and pencil WIDA to get a very accurate read on what their level actually is, so that when they retake it, I think it's administered every year, possibly every 6 months. When they retake it, you want to get an accurate read on how much progress they've actually made, because this tells you, is the school providing an adequate level of services? Is there possibly a learning disability issue? Or is your kid actually making good progress and becoming more proficient in English? So I just wanted to talk real quickly about that option, because it's one thing that I hadn't really thought about, not having dealt with a high schooler previously. So it's just something for parents to know about, and another way to make sure that you get the most accurate test results.